Hey, Coach, man, what time is it?
Oh, Slim, you know what time it is. 6 o'clock. Stay up and down. It's HomeSpun Sports with Coach John Montgomery. Sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Once more and again, you tuned in to HomeSpun Sports. It's sports talk with just a twist of down-home wisdom. I'm the coach, John Montgomery II, a.k.a. John 2. I'm right here in good old Houston, Texas. Way up there in good old Oklahoma City. What? Dale City, excuse me. Oklahoma. My right-hand man, the last P in the shell, my baby boy. What's up, Slim?
I can't call it, Coach. How you doing?
Man, listen, dude. I am so excited about show number 33. Our very special guest today is a man I have known over 40 years. Since taking over the head coaching job at his alma mater, South Carolina State University, in 2002, since taking over that football program, he has won 8 MEAC titles. He has been Coach of the Year in the MEAC 4 times. He has won 3 HBCU national championships. I am proud to say that we are both disciples of College Football Hall of Fame, Willie E. Jeffries, the Jackie Robinson of college football. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Coach Buddy Pough.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Coach. Welcome.
Welcome, Coach.
John, Slim, good to see you guys. How have you been?
Great.
Been great, Coach. How you been?
I'm good. I'm sitting around here trying to do some turkey leg sales. There's always some kind of community service kind of deal we got going on here. We have a big festival in Orangeburg. We call it the Rose Festival.
All right.
Days, turkey legs.
Okay.
Feel like I'm at a ball game.
Yeah. Well, let's get the game going, Coach.
All right, guys, go for it.
Coach, first of all, congratulations on the championship. I see you sporting that shirt. We all saw the rings. As a matter of fact, we had the rings, the pictures on it on the last show. How was the ceremony?
It was great. We had a big banquet this past, I guess, Friday night a week ago, and had our spring game the next day. And all of our guys had new tailor-made suits. We had gotten a deal done with Men's Warehouse and the Strahan brand, and we had just a huge ceremony where we had a banquet and did all kind of neat things for our guys. And our guys got their rings. They got their national championship rings. Now they're still going to get a conference championship ring.
Yep.
But we wanted to get that national championship ring in their hand by the time we finished the year out. And we were finishing up our spring game the next day. And then there, we on about taking a little bit of a break now. It's been a long spring. It's been a long year, actually, for us. So we're looking forward to getting a little bit of time off. Doing a little recruiting. Our coaches are getting out to do some spring recruiting to get out and get in all the high schools in the area. But besides that, we're looking to get a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Buddy, what's the connection? I know, and we showed it on the show last week. Michael Strahan was heavily involved in the suits, the travel suits. How did that come about?
Well, we saw Michael get involved with Jackson State, and we kind of took a cue from them. And then Harry Carson, who is one of our famous alumni, he's a Hall of Fame also, is close to Michael. Our athletic director, Stacy Danley, got with Harry, got to Michael. You know, they started working back and forth. We ended up paying, you know, some for the suits, but we got it for a lot better deal than you would have gotten ordinarily. So, you know, a suit is a neat, especially a tailor-made suit is a neat item to have in your wardrobe.
Man.
Most of our guys don't really have a real great fitting suit. And after one time, John, I don't know if you go back to just off the racket. Now, we all go get a suit or two that way, but at the same time, have our guys significance of how that works. I think it's a life our guys will continue, you know, down the road a piece. So we're excited about having our guys that opportunity.
No question, man. That was the Michael Strahan, Harry Carson. That was the New York Giant connection.
Exactly. Those guys played together back in the early 80s, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. No question.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, when you HBCU football, where it is right now, what's the future of it? And by that, you played in the same area in the MEAC because you played for Coach Jeffries at South Carolina State. I played in the SWAC, Prairie View, and we're at the same time. I played against Doug Williams, Jackie Slater, Robert Brazil, Walter Payton. That era when it was common, HBCU players going in the first round. Several of them, you have that same testimony. How do we get close to that?
Well, you know, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that, John, because, you know, the cat's out of the bag, you know, as far as the talent level and, you know, the kind of players that we have, you know, on our teams at the time. I think you'll have a hard time matching up to the scholarship plans, the cost of attendance style kinds of scholarships that these guys can afford to give these guys, which is considerably more beneficial than what, you know, we can afford to give our guys now. If you want to come to a great program and, you know, play for a guy that you'll enjoy playing for, be taught to play the game correctly. The guys who play football at South Carolina State can actually play the game. I mean, we teach them to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and, you know, you'll never have a dull day, you know, in a day that you're here. And we do things, maybe not at the level of the Alabama and the LSUs, but our guys stay in nice places and we fly to places and do some nice stuff. So our guys have a great experience here too. But now we can't give them an SEC experience, John. We can't give them a Power 5 experience. And, you know, for that particular situation to come about where we can do that kind of stuff for our guys, that's gone. So go for it.
And listen, and I think you spot up. See,
bravo, Coach.
In the very lane that you're speaking of, that South Carolina State can afford a young man, I think that's the redemptive quality of the HBCU experience, because it's the whole picture, buddy. HBCUs get you ready for life.
They do. They do. And I tell you that our guys, more than anything else, know how to handle themselves on over in life that way. We talk about the fact that we've got to find a way to make a living doing what we do right here at South Carolina State while we're playing football. So you got to do things right. But at the same time, you know, there are some things that some guys can do for our guys financially that we just can't afford to do. And, you know, I'm not going to tell them to do something that I can't. But I get them there and they feel like, you know, we've told them a fit.
We talked about you on last week's show. Mentioned the name of a young man that I know you know about, the Thibodeau kid, Slim, from Oregon.
Kayvon Thibodeau, Coach.
Kayvon Thibodeau. And he did go high in the draft. But the one thing that you kept hearing about him, you kept hearing it, he does not play hard all the time. That was the rap on him. And we talked about you, buddy, because
don't play.
You've been on the plow. You've had your hand on the plow for a long time in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I ain't never heard that about a South Carolina State Bulldog that you coached?
They don't play.
Well, we try to do the very best we can of encouraging our guys to do it right. And we also understand, John, the fact that, these guys get tired too. So you got to have a rotation and some things in place. We want to ride these guys sometime all the way from the starting, from the gun to the end of a game sometimes, and not necessarily give them the proper attention to, being able to get in out of a game. So play hard all the time. It's hard playing a lot. If you're going to play 60, 70 snaps, on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to take some plays off. So you got to understand how you get those guys to the point where they can play hard all the time.
Buddy, last year you played Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
This year you got South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson is in Clemson, South Carolina. Columbia, South Carolina, the Gamecocks. And you got them this year at their place.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right there in Orangeburg. What do you say to that young man that, boy, Coach Pough, I like you. I like your program. But I can go play in the ACC in Death Valley. I can go play in the SEC East at South Carolina.
South Carolina.
But I like you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can tell you that in most cases, we're not going to beat those guys on the recruit. The ACC, the SEC guys. And you know what? I don't know if I want to beat those guys. If I get a guy in my place, knowing the different ability to, support a guy, the stuff that they can do for a guy, then I feel better having a guy that's my level, that I can develop. And lots of times, John, Slim, I can have a guy who comes into my place as a little bit undersized and a little bit something short of what he wants, what that guy is that, is that a South Carolina, is that a Clemson? But at the same time, in 5 years, I can sometimes have that guy farther along. I had a lot of guys, the Kobe Durant guy that got drafted for us in the 4th round this past Saturday was a walk-on for me. And, we've gotten guys to our program that, are not necessarily, the 4 stars or the 3 stars. And they are a lot farther along in 4 years and 5 years than some of those same guys that were 4 and 5 stars that, were big time recruits when those guys were going into their schools some years back. So, I like the idea of how we go about grooming a guy, how we go about developing a guy. And if we do it the way that we've been doing it in the past, then we think that we get our guy to the point where, you can't tell what's in him. He'll be that guy, down the road a piece.
Buddy,
Yeah, but
you telling me, hold up, Kobe Durant was a walk-on?
Kobe Durant, let me tell you this. Let me tell you how bad a walk-on he was, John. The Kobe didn't have anybody that would even take him as a walk-on out of high school. And so he goes to one of these Palmetto prep deals. And, I try to educate these kids on the fact that most times the prep schools can't really help them because what they need is more test score. They can't improve their core unless they've got some kind of special circumstances that way. So when they go to a prep school and they end up going to the prep school and a year later, they're at the same point they were before. Well, now, the Kobe went to a prep school because he didn't have anything from anybody. He was a qualifier. So he goes to the prep school, plays for a year. That doesn't work out. So Coach Gerald Harrison, one of my sisters, who knows the guy over there, tells him, man, just come to South Carolina State and walk on. He comes in the next spring as a gray shirt, so he's a year and a half out of high school.
Okay.
From that point on, from the very first day that you see him on our practice field, I said, what in the hell? And all of a sudden, you knew it. So ordinarily, we make a walk-on stay for a year before we put him on aid.
Okay.
We put him on aid the very first practice. So he was that kind of guy. He really was.
Buddy,
like
I said earlier, you and I both, Willie Jeffries disciples. Willie Jeffries disciples. You and I both.
Yep.
Coach Jeffries, and I know he's listening, always used to say, a good head coach can project, and especially at an HBCU. Coach Jeffries used to say, he said, you got to be able to plant the grapevine tasting grape jelly.
What about wine, Coach?
I might like the wine better, Slim, but I tell you, there's no doubt about the fact that that's our business. The Darius Leonard of the world. And we don't know, too, now I can tell you, because Darius Leonard, who was the defensive rookie of the year a couple years back in the NFL, was a redshirt guy. We redshirted him for a year at South Carolina State. So can you imagine that? This guy stayed 5 years. But now, what can I say?
Great job. I tell you what you say. One hell of a job of projecting. One hell of a job of coaching. No question about it.
Excellent.
Coach.
Uh-huh.
Buddy, I always thought, and I want your take on NILs. Because here's my thing, and I'm going to give you the floor. We talked about it, Slim and I did on our show a few weeks back about NILs. Getting corporate America to come out there on your campus. Now, buddy, I can't understand for the life of me how an HBCU would not Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeye's chicken, Church's chicken. Hey, buddy, fried chicken on a fall afternoon at an HBCU campus. My, what a concept.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that might be something out there, but I can tell you that the NIL concept for us right now has not been quite what, it is for the big boys. I don't have a lot of people that are dying to just throw large sums of money into our program. We don't have a lot of those kind of alumni. And, if we do have one of those, then, we hope that the university, my university, is fighting so hard to get that guy, on his roster of givers that, they'll be in there fighting the doggone kid to try to get the money that he'd be getting for NIL. So we don't have that big deal. Now, we've got a couple guys, and I got another problem. Or if it comes through me, then I got to take it and make it work for a kid who I'm trying to get to come into my program. Am I trying to recruit with it? Or am I trying to satisfy a guy who's already in my program and doing really well? Do I give it to the Jacoby Durant guy who just left? Or do I give it to the Prometheus Franklin kid that I just recruited, So I'm always torn between exactly whether I do it for a new guy or do it for a guy who's earned it,
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of little nuances of this deal right now that I'm still struggling with. And I can tell you that, if my son is the quarterback and I'm trying to throw some money his way, then it's an easy decision for me to decide that I'm gonna give wink my son a big deal that way.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't know if I can make that decision between two guys that I love or a guy who's been on my team and I really want to try to do all. And I know he's a poor kid. Some of that kind of stuff that you use for making the decision that way. So there's all kinds of nuances of that NIL deal that I'm still struggling to put together in my mind and be fair about.
I hear you, and I smell what you're stepping in, bro. No question. So, buddy. Done with spring. Coaches out on the road. Junior recruiting. You open up with who this fall?
I open up with Florida, UCF in
Central Florida Knights.
Central Florida Knights.
Gus Malzahn and that crowd. Exactly.
Yeah. And then you got who next?
And then I come home, and then I go back to Daytona Beach and play Bethune-Cookman.
All right.
Then I get off. Then I go play NT. Then the next week, then I go play South Carolina.
So okay. So you got Gus Malzahn and the Central Florida Knights, and that's at their place. Then you got Bethune-Cookman in Daytona or in Orangeburg?
In Daytona Beach.
All right. So 2 straight on the road.
Exactly. No, 4 straight on the road.
Y'all doing some miling, Coach.
And you got Sam Washington where? A&T, Sam Washington?
In Greensboro.
In Greensboro. And then you go to Williams-Brice.
Exactly.
Buddy Pough.
It's
Hey, Buddy Pough. My
been
brother,
good.
buddy,
Huh?
you are positioning yourself to do exactly what you did last year. Because, hey, Buddy Pough,
Yeah.
iron sharpens iron. And I didn't write that, my brother.
Yeah. I don't think you did you?
I didn't write that.
No, but we repeated it, though.
No, but I guarantee you we'll be okay. And we returned most of that team from last year. But now, we can stumble. You know how the big head is. You can mess up if you get overconfident that way. So we need to be on our P's and Q's, but at the same time, we will get through that. And at that point, then we'll see what we can do from there.
Hey, buddy, I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. We got another mutual friend, and this guy keeps me well. I'm in Houston. This guy's in Statesboro, Georgia, man that I know you know well. My little brother, Mike Summers. And he's that little birdie that talks in my ear about South Carolina State football. He told me just the other day, he said, John, he said, we got a better team coming back this year than we had last year.
Well, I don't know that for sure. And one of the things about that team last year is that those guys played really well, under some pretty tough circumstances. So they won games on the road, in places where we have a hard time winning sometimes. So you never know about one of those deals. You can lose a game, you can slip up in a heartbeat, and the next thing you know, you're behind the 8 ball. But I can tell you that these guys will definitely play hard, and we've got a pretty good team returning. We lose those 2 corners, Jacoby Durant and Zyfield Kelly. Both those guys are being NFL camps. One drafted and one's a free agent. And we got another couple guys, that we missed. But I can tell you this, and that is that that there's always another guy waiting in the rafters somewhere around South Carolina State to play the next man up. So we'll see what happens when we get to 22.
I'm excited with what you got going on there, my brother. Thank you again, buddy, for coming on our show, man.
We certainly looking forward to it, Coach.
Coach, looking forward to seeing you guys up this way sometime. Come see us.
Man, we go to the Brown Derby, man.
No, you won't either. It ain't there anymore.
What?
I'm sorry. All right, guys.
Take care.
Take care, Coach.
Wow.
Buddy don't play, Coach.
Yeah, Buddy don't play. Buddy don't play. Yeah, hey, Slim. He handled that like a true professional. We call that in coaching, we call that pole mouthing. He pole mouthed that, and well, he should. That's what a head coach does. But I hear they gonna be pretty salty next year. No question.
Hey, yeah. Just like Coach K and Duke, Coach. This ain't about me, it's about my players.
Yeah, it's about my players. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's time for Slim's Pickings. Pick it away, bro.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
HomeSpun Sports celebrates the great Grambling State's own Junius Buck Buchanan, who in 1963 was the first player selected in the AFL draft to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, in keeping in the spirit, HomeSpun Sports celebrates the first and the last player in the HBCU to be selected in the first round. First up, Ed Too Tall Jones, who in 1974 was selected first to the Dallas Cowboys. There were 4 players that were invited to Indianapolis, the NFL Combine, and 3 of them were drafted. First on the list, Joshua Williams, Fayetteville State University, 4th round, pick 135. I told y'all he'd go first. Second, Jacoby Durant, South Carolina State, pick 142, 4th round to the Rams. And third, Tatari Carter, pick 226 to Southern to the Chicago Bears. Also, Jackson State's own James Houston, who, if y'all remember a couple of episodes back, mentioned him in my pickings, said he reminded me of an Alabama A&M's Robert Mathis, who, you know, we all know balled at the Indianapolis Colts. He also went to the 217th pick to the Detroit Lions. Congratulations, young man. Now go to work. Stay tuned, sports fans. And that's Slim's Pickets.
Hell of a job. Hell of a job. Yeah, Mildred, you know, you were right, bro. I tip my hat. You were right on Joshua Williams and from the kid from Fayetteville State. Mildred, the big thing that you kept hearing him, great size for a corner, 6'3", 195, 200. But the thing that you kept hearing was he acted like he belonged. This was a hell of a year for wide receiver talent. You had Drake London from USC went number 1. You had Treylon Burks from Arkansas went number 1. You had
Garrett Wilson,
Ohio State went number 1. Chris Olave, Ohio State went number 1. And at the combine, he got right up in their grill and played lights out.
Yeah, full-grown man. And you just heard Buddy Pough talk about Jacoby Durant. And the thing that I kept hearing, I kept hearing that Jacoby Durant, good little player. Yeah.
Well, he might be 5'10", and like Buddy said, he was a walk-on. But I tell you one thing, Slim, when he got to Death Valley, when them South Carolina State Bulldogs played,
he didn't play like he was 5'10".
He picked off 2. He picked off 2. And that's a word for HBCU football players that have aspirations to play at the next level.
Yeah.
When you have the opportunity to play against big-time competition, D1 schools, Power 5 schools, man, you got to show up, man.
You got to show
up and show up big time. Hey, Slim, you got to act like you belong.
Yeah, the stage can't be too big, Coach, as they say.
Absolutely. Now, I did a little research in Slim. You talked about Buck Buchanan, the number 1 player to come out in the draft in 1963. He comes out. He's the number 1 player picked by the AFL, the American Football League. Yep. First player to go. Slim, in that same draft, he went in the 17th round, number 265 to the New York Giants.
Disparity, Coach.
You think? And Slim, HBCU football facilitated the merger between the AFL and the NFL. And I'm going to tell you why. All right. Okay. Super Bowl III. Okay. The NFL won the first 2. Green Bay beat Kansas City in the first one. Green Bay came back in the second one, beat the Oakland Raiders in the second one.
Yep.
But in the third one, Slim, Joe Namath
and the Jets,
Broadway Joe, said, we're going to win the game. I guarantee it.
Sure did.
And Slim, the New York Jets were a 2-touchdown underdog to the Baltimore Colts. But Slim, them New York Jets had 8 players from HBCU on their roster.
8?
The Baltimore Colts had 6. And Slim, I was a little boy. Well, I was 13. I was 13, 1968. I remember it to this day, bro. We getting ready to watch the Super Bowl. I'm sitting there with your pawpaw.
I remember the story.
And I told my daddy before the kickoff, I said, Daddy, Joe Namath and them Jets fixing to whip them Baltimore Colts. My dad said,
oh, you
well, you lost your mind. and Slim, I'll go you one better than that. The very next year, I'm talking about Super Bowl IV. Kansas City Chiefs playing the Minnesota Vikings in old Tulane Stadium in New Orleans. Slim, Kansas City beat the Vikings 23-7. And Slim, it wasn't that close. But hey, Slim, Kansas City Chiefs, okay, in that game, Kansas City Chiefs had 13 players. You hear me? 13 players on their rosters from HBCU.
See, Coach, that's why we support the Chiefs, right
Slim,
there.
Slim. Man, let me tell you something, bro. Them Kansas City Chiefs,
Yeah,
bro. Jim Marcellus, Nolan Smith, Tennessee State, Robert Tank Holmes, and Frank Pitts from Southern, Otis Taylor, Jim Kearney from Prairie View, Hall of Famer Emmett Thomas from Bishop College. Slim, the first black man to play middle linebacker in the NFL, Hall of Famer Willie Lanier, Kansas City Chiefs, Morgan State. Well, I'm telling you, man, them Kansas City Chiefs had some ballers. So, and from HBCUs. And Slim, what happened was after 2 straight ass whippings that the AFL put on the NFL in the Super Bowl, the NFL got like that signifying monkey.
signifying monkey.
Yes, sir. Hey, Slim. The monkey got happy. Start jumping up and down.
Feet hit the tree, ass hit the ground.
Hey, but then the monkey got wise. He started using his whip. He said, I'm going to put a stop to all this ass whipping.
Oh, wait, Coach, wait a minute. This is a family show. You can't curse on this show, Coach. You can't do that.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can't do that.
Well, you know what happened. Okay, you know what happened. Okay. You got wise. Start using his whip. Yeah. But so that, Slim, that facilitated the merger. Them 2 straight butt kickings, them 2 straight ass whippings that the NFL took at the hands of the AFL. That's what facilitated the merger. The HBCU players, man, they showed out big time.
Now, Coach, before we get out of here, we just had the draft. Let's recap it. In your opinion, who balled out? Who had the best?
4 teams. 4 teams really impressed me with what they did in the draft, Mildred. First of all, I really like what the Jets did. The Jets had 3 first-round picks, and they were all very good players. And I think they're going to have a chance to have great pro careers. I said all along that Derek Stingley, the corner from LSU, was the best corner, and he went number 4 in the first round. But Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati went 5. And he's
yes, sir.
Then I like the wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, that they took. Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. Big time player. To me, Mildred, he's D-Hop, the receiver out of there. Can make the contested catch. Great player. I like him. They come back with their last first-round pick and get Jermaine Johnson, that edge bender from Florida State. Hell of a player. I'm excited. I thought the Jets had it. And Mildred, they got the best running back in the draft.
From Breece Hall, yeah.
But with Iowa State, no question about it. The next team that impressed me, I like what Atlanta did. Really did.
Yeah.
Last year's draft, Mildred, they took Kyle Pitts, the tight end / wide receiver, big physical, fast kid from Florida. They took him number 1. They come right back this year and they get Drake London from USC.
Yes, sir.
6'4", 215, 220. To me, and I said it, I was in the sports shop with Reese and K-Mac.
Man, hey, you know what, Coach? Quick shout out to Reese and K-Mac and the sports shop for having you on, and a shout out to HomeSpun Sports. We want to say thank you guys for having Coach as a host.
I said on the live Zoom call that we did covering the first round that Drake London reminded me of Otis Taylor. Big physical wide receiver that again can make the contested catch. They come back and also take with the 58th pick that linebacker that I love, I love that boy, Troy Anderson from Montana State. He Slim, linebacker, 6'3", 245, ran 4.4 at the combine, came to Montana State as a running back / quarterback. Slim, that kid even punted.
He's athlete, coach.
He's
if you look up his bio, it says athlete. It doesn't say any specific position because he plays them all. I really like the Desmond Ridder pickup at quarterback, coach, from Cincinnati, because I believe he'll beat out Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. Hey, if you was here in the living room, I'd give you 5. But there ain't no question. 5. That's 5. Because you hit that and square on the head. The next one, Slim, I like what John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens did. They take Kyle Hamilton with the first pick.
Now, coach, we talked about it on our last show. John to John, if you get my drift, we said you needed an impact player, John Harbaugh. John Montgomery, do you believe he found his impact player?
I do. I think he got the impact guy. That's a plug-in guy. Range, he's Slim, 6'4", 220. He's got length, he's got range, and he's tough as a $2 steak. I think Kyle Hamilton is a plug-in player, going to help that defense immediately. Then they come back, and a lot of people might not know the name Tyler Linderbaum, the center guard, inside guy that they took from Iowa. Mm-hmm. This is the one thing about it, and he's a heck of a player. Kurt Ferenz coached offensive lineman.
That's all you need to say.
Hey.
That's it.
Kurt Ferenz, offensive lineman, and Kurt Ferenz coached the offensive line for Bill Belichick at Cleveland prior to getting the head job at Iowa. More than that, Kurt Ferenz is a Joe Moore disciple. The award they give the best offensive line in D1, the Joe Moore Award. And Kurt Ferenz, Joe Moore disciple. Bill Callahan, Joe Moore disciple. Mike Sherman, Joe Moore disciple.
And so are you, a Joe Moore disciple.
Oh, Slim. I didn't know you knew that.
As many times as you have talked about it, come on, man. How could I forget?
Yes. I was fortunate enough to work with the great Joe Moore when I was an assistant at the University of Pittsburgh. Joe Moore was the offensive line coach. Slim, I love what Green Bay did as well. They got Quay Walker, the linebacker from Georgia. They come right back and take Devontae Wyatt, the defensive tackle from Georgia.
Hey, Coach, shout out to Georgia for having 5 NFL picks on their starting defense. On the defense, Coach, they had 5 picks in the first round. That's
5
crazy.
picks off the defense. Yeah, that's a phenomenal job. No question about it, Slim. And Slim, I'll remember the name. Christian Watson. That wide receiver. North Dakota State. Bingo. Slim, in my mock draft, I had him going 30 to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. He goes 34 to Green Bay. Now, this guy, Christian Watson, reminds me so much of Alabama A&M's own Pittsburgh Steeler Hall of Famer, John Stallworth. Because this kid, Christian Watson, has that same thing John Stallworth had, that long speed. Long speed.
Yeah.
Go downtown and get the bomb speed. And you watch how many bombs he catches from Aaron Rodgers.
I'm highly anticipating that, Coach, because losing Devontae Adams, you got to have a new threat. You got to.
There you go. No question.
Well, hey, Coach, look, pleasure being in the studio with you again, man. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Tell Mama I love her, all right?
I will, man. Yeah, no question, man. Give my best to everybody up in Dale City and Oklahoma City. Everybody.
Take care.
And finally, Baker Mayfield, you have gone from being the first player taken in the 2018 NFL draft to being an afterthought. When you don't like everything that's going on around you, according to my pastor, Dr. Marcus D. Cosby, Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, Houston, Texas, 77044. You don't have to have it going on to keep going on. And don't let your context reveal your condition. Malik Willis, you sat and watched round 1 go by, round 2 go by, before your name was finally called with the 86th pick in the 3rd round. Don't follow Baker Mayfield's lead. And hey, that's how I see it. 6 o'clock, straight up and down.
I'm definitely gonna make that into a t-shirt, Coach. You don't have to have it going on to keep going on. Yeah, that's powerful right there. That's powerful right there.
That's powerful, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of HomeSpun Sports. Sports talk with a twist of down home wisdom. Thank you again to Coach Buddy Pough for being our special guest on episode 33. We look forward to having you on again, sir, and look forward to a healthy relationship with you in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be sure to not only catch this episode on YouTube, but on iHeartRadio and Spotify for your listening and viewing pleasure. Make sure you have that bell turned on so you don't miss a single episode when we upload. It's all live, it's all for you, and it's all for real. Hey, Coach, let's go ahead and get up out of here, man.
We're going to get up out of here right quick. Big shout out and congratulations to a true cap and whistle minister, the great Vivian Stringer, Rutgers University. Set it down after a great career. Congratulations, Coach Stringer. Slam, my brother. What he said. Well, all right.